going to begin the program very shortly, so please make your way this way. In a couple minutes. Thank you. Good evening. We're going to begin in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, we're going to begin the program. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Hyatt Regency, Boston Harbor. I know a lot of folks might have went to the wrong hotel tonight, but you made it here, and that's what's important. We want to welcome you all to the 21st Annual Spring Celebration of the Youth Advocacy Foundation. Yeah. And this is our first in-person event since 2019. It's amazing to be back, right? Yes. My name is Cheo Bourne, and I'm truly honored to be your MC tonight. I expect all of you are already aware of the important work that YAF does on behalf of kids in Massachusetts schools since you're here. And so tonight will be a reminder and a celebration of what we have accomplished. And by we, I do mean everyone here in this room tonight. Yes. Now you'll meet some of YAF's key players tonight, 4 impressive honorees, 2 students who have experienced what YAF does, and also a poet. Now, I see in the program book that there will be a song. I don't know anything about that song, but that's coming later. And you may even get to sing along. Now, of course, there will be a chance for you to support the work of YAF tonight, if you should be so moved, and I think that you will be. And throughout the night, I'll also be reminding you that you can keep bidding on those fabulous auction items that are in the other room using your personalized bidding link. And the auction, it won't be closing until about 15 minutes after our program is over. And for those of you watching on the live stream, we see you there. Welcome. You can also participate in our auction by clicking the link that's right below your screen. Okay, now before I introduce our first speaker, let me say a word or two about why I am so happy to be here with you tonight. You can read my bio, of course, but to summarize, I'm an actor and a singer and a cabaret maker, and most importantly, I'm a product of the Massachusetts school systems. And I grew up in Dorchester. Dorchester? Yeah, Dorchester's in the house. And I went to school in Weston through the METCO program. So I am well aware of how critical it is that kids get the support and placement that they need and that they deserve. I'm also a father of a little girl, 15 months. Her name is Indigo. She just started walking 2 weeks ago, and it is wild. No one warns you. But I really feel more deeply than ever how important it is to support our kids because, what a cliche, but truly, they are actually the future, right? And now I'm going to introduce our first honoree. I'm pleased to call on Ducci Gonzalez, the new chair of the board of YAF, and Deputy General Counselor and Director of YAD, the Youth Advocacy Division of the Commission for Public Counsel Services, also known as CPCS. And you'll be hearing a lot about our outgoing Director Josh Doan tonight as well, and we're so lucky to have Ducci as the new director of YAD. And we've known you since you were an interim at Ed Law.
Yes.
And we're confident that your passion for education equity will enable and lead us forward. So now to you, Ducci. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheo. Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I have to say this is amazing to see all of you in person. It feels so good after Cheo said we were last together in 2019 to see so many familiar but also so many new faces here tonight. And to the people who are watching on live stream, hi, thank you for joining us. I'm so happy to be here tonight. First, I'd like to say tonight we're here to celebrate the leadership in juvenile justice. We're celebrating Josh Doan, who I can say, let's give it up for Josh. who I can say I wouldn't be here today without Josh. Back in 2001, I walked into then the Youth Advocacy Project office on Roxbury Street in Roxbury, just a young college student, not sure what I wanted to do. And Josh saw something in me that I didn't see myself yet. And he made it a mission to find something for me to do. He encouraged the Ed Law Project, which was brand new at that time, with Jenny Chow, Marley Spaniard, and Shruti Desai. And during that time, we shared a small basement kitchen office, but within that area, I was exposed to wonderful defenders, education advocates, social workers, community outreach workers, all dedicated and committed to making the lives of young people in Massachusetts better. And I knew immediately that this was my calling. This was what I was meant to do. And again, I wouldn't have been here without that internship, without the experience and the commitment from Josh and everyone at Ed Law and CPCS. So thank you, Josh, and we honor you tonight. So I have to say, this last year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, has been really difficult and challenging. As we come out of the pandemic, it has been really challenging, especially for our youth who have been struggling with mental health issues, educational issues not being met. It's been a really difficult time, especially for our youth of color who have been disproportionately impacted. At school, there have been zero tolerance discipline issues, increased school violence, lost learning due to the pandemic, a shortage of appropriate professionals for students, and also transportation issues. On top of that, we've had the real realities of the inequities in all of our systems, racism that continues to plague our society. And I cannot stand here tonight and not acknowledge what happened this past weekend in Buffalo, which has illuminated the racism that continues to permeate our society, the racism that continues to permeate our legal system, our educational systems. The Ed Law Project, and this year, the expansion of the Ed Law Project, which is the biggest that it's ever been, has continued to address these issues both on an individual and on a systemic basis. It has also allowed us to continue to train and mobilize juvenile defense bar and the children and family law attorneys to ensure that all of our clients receive quality representation, quality education, and allow us to continue our work to end racial injustice and end the school-to-prison pipeline. So we have a fabulous evening for you tonight. As Cheo mentioned, we're honoring great honorees tonight. We have student speakers, and we also have a youth poet who is a graduate from Fenway High School here in Boston, my alum high school. So I'm grateful to be here to share the stage with someone who also graduated from Boston Public Schools. And I'd like to take a quick moment to thank all of the people that have made tonight possible. Our sponsors, the host committee, the event committee. In particular, thank you to Randy, Chandra, and Catherine for their help with the silent auction. To Deb for all of her support and her creative juices that she will be bringing to the event tonight. To Laura and Bridget for their logistical help in getting us ready. I'd like to thank all of the attendees, all of you who are here tonight supporting us. Josh Slinger for his help with the live streaming, Phyllis Hill for the help with greater giving, and I have to take an opportunity to thank all of the volunteers. Volunteers, I see someone in a blue shirt in the back. Thank you. The volunteers who have worked so hard to help put this event tonight again. And I'd also like to thank Jeremy Cohn for all of the work and support he's given to YAF, especially with the work he's doing by providing this history of YAP and YAF. Thank you, Jeremy. And I have to thank Marlise, Michelle, Jackie, everyone with the Ed Law Project who have worked tirelessly to put this event together tonight. All right. And we're gonna move on. I have the honor of presenting tonight's Commitment to Justice Award. Tonight we honor Peter Forbes. Peter Forbes is the former commissioner of the Department of Youth Services, DYS. During his tenure at DYS, Peter provided steadfast leadership. Peter helped to establish DYS as one of the best youth authorities in the country. He was instrumental in the design and in the implementation of a structured community reentry model employing the positive youth development practices to help youth successfully transition to their communities. He remained committed to sustaining efforts that ensured low-risk youth did not penetrate the deep end of our juvenile justice system and that youth in the DYS custody received appropriate services where and when they needed it most. Under Peter's leadership, DYS prioritized providing care that results in positive youth outcomes as well as providing valuable opportunities to DYS youth. These priorities were centered on DYS's long-term goals of reducing recidivism and improving public safety. Peter was instrumental in ending solitary confinement, reforming, yes, let's clap for that, reforming use of physical restraints, implementing DBT, creating the foster care detention system in Worcester, increasing family engagement, enhancing the YES program where youth voluntarily sign on for additional services after commitment, establishing diversion programs, and working on the dual status problem, just to name a few. He is a national leader by example, but also quite active in the national juvenile corrections community. He was a founder of the Child Welfare and Juvenile Justice Leadership Forum. He would engage with anyone that could help the kids and families DYS serves. DYS evolved quite a bit during his almost 40 years there. Sorry, I didn't mean to age you. He didn't just evolve with it. He led a lot of that evolution. Now, I don't think too many states can say they have this kind of relationship with DYS that we have. But we are unique because we both are working to build a fair, equitable, effective, and developmentally appropriate juvenile legal system. In large part, that is due to the work Peter has done. Thank you and congratulations. You have to come up here.
So I got 2 seconds for thank yous?
You have 1 minute.
1 minute, I said 2 seconds. Thank you very much for that, Ducci. I just want a couple quick thank yous. One is to CPCS and the Youth Advocacy Foundation. Thank you very much for the award and for the work that you do on a daily basis. I've had the privilege of working with Anthony and Josh and Ducci and Marlise and the whole crew. I also want to give a shout out to Roxbury Youth Works. My lovely wife, Kathy, and I also want to give a shout out to Ruth Ravezzi and Cecily Reardon, who are leading the charge at DYS. They're in good hands. Thank you very much.
Artists for Humanities. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Commissioner Forbes. Massachusetts was so very lucky to have you. Now we're going to hear from one of the students who has experienced firsthand how YAF can change a life, E.J. Benitez, and the ed law attorney who represented him, Elizabeth Levitan.
Yes, my name is Elliot Benitez.
When I met EJ, he had been in the Department of Youth Services custody for a year and a half. And during that time, he was not receiving his special education services or his English language learner services. He was struggling a lot in school. Nevertheless, he adamantly wanted to receive his high school diploma and was hoping to get support in achieving that goal. Before entering the YS, he had attended the McKinley Schools, which is a specialized school in Boston for students specifically with Elliot's challenges. EJ has a communication disability, a specific learning disability, and emotional challenges, and at the time was a level 1 English language learner.
That time, my English not good at all, so I started, when I go to school, I was feeling frustration.
The McKinley was not providing him with supports, and as a result, he had become very disengaged from school and was very behind.
So I go to school, right? But I never give it the attention at all because like my language. So every time I go to class, so I'm feeling annoying, like asking what's going on in the class. When that time I never go to school because I say, it's no point go to school, so I don't understand nothing.
Despite all of these challenges that he had experienced, he was still incredibly driven and really wanted to finish high school. So he asked what we could do to help him achieve that goal.
I had a lawyer. She told me she about to help me out. He like listen 2 weeks. That's why I missed Elizabeth.
We worked with EJ to help him get the services that he needed while he was in custody through lots of meetings and discussions with both the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and Boston Public Schools, as well as through supports provided by the Department of Youth Services.
From the beginning to the last, she told me about to do this, and before she do something, she let me know. She let me know what everything was going on when she did all the process from the school.
We were able to put together comprehensive supports to help him get across that finish line.
It get better because like the teachers started give me the help I need. In the beginning, it's a little bit hard, but like when I started to get used to, so everything happening.
He worked very hard to complete his credits, and with these supports in place, he ultimately graduated from high school in October of 2020. It was a great day.
I finished my high school in the YS. I always say I never got to finish schools. It, like when I see I made it, like I'm feeling like happy by myself. I want to do something. The only I want to work, I have to work hard.
We were also able to secure some ongoing supports post-graduation to help him continue to strengthen his English and reading skills. When he returned home, he completed an industrial cleaning program and continued to work on his education. Now he has been home for some time and has a great job in industrial cleaning.
Yeah, I go to a program like cleaning, like business cleaning. I use for like get every day involved.
He's working on saving money so he can get his own apartment and get his own car, and is doing incredibly well. We're really proud of all of the hard work that he's done to achieve this goal.
The best stuff happened to me when you come to enjoying to my life. Elizabeth, I thank you for all the stuff you did for me, like get my diploma. Like I told you before, I never believed about to get my diploma. And like now I see my diploma. I only never say never, because like the only you have to work hard for that. I'm happy all the work it did for me. Like I'm feeling grateful. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Now, EJ, he really wanted to be here with us tonight, but unfortunately, but also fortunately, he had to work, so he couldn't be here. Now, I'm glad we had the chance to hear from him and Elizabeth on the video, though. Now, to introduce our next honoree, we have the Executive Director of YAF and EdLaw Senior Counsel, as well as the Chief Architect of tonight's event, Michelle Scavangelli.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces here. Tonight, actually, before I do this, I have to just do one thing. I don't know if any of you work with a family member in your job, but I have the pleasure of working with my daughter, and I just need to tell her, I love you, Jackie. We fight, everyone sees it, but we love each other. So anyway, tonight I have the privilege of, this is the first year we've done this. We've had a pro bono panel for going on almost 6 years now. We have helped almost 130 families that we wouldn't have been able to help. These are low-income families who are not court involved, so the EdLaw Project couldn't take them on, but the wonderful firms we work with and companies we work with, their attorneys and their paralegals volunteer their time because they want to get involved with a family and they want to help kids. And they probably help so many kids stay in school and not to fall out and not end up being court involved. So I think they do a lot of great prevention. Back when I started, we started the panel with Morgan Lewis, one of the firms that has so many of their attorneys volunteer with us. The first person I met was the next person who we're honoring, Laura Lerner. Laura, not only she took her first case to help a little boy get the right placement in school. When the mom mentioned, and actually the neuropsychologist working with the family mentioned, well, yes, he needs help, but his younger brother needs even more help. I couldn't immediately say, okay, Laura, you know, you signed a retainer with this family, now you've got to, but she's like, yes, of course. And then not long after, another family came and I knew we needed someone with the experience Laura had. I said, Laura, I'll do a lot to help. She's like, nope, I'm there, and she's taken completely over. When one of the attorneys in her firm moved on to another job, she jumped in right away and is helping a family who actually spoke at our event 3 years ago, continue to have success in school. And only very recently, when the original family she worked with, they moved, so we have a new school district to work with, she signed up again. So Laura has taken on 5 different cases, and it's not just the quantity of representation she does, it's the quality. She is on top of everything. She makes sure appointments are made, evaluations happen, IEPs are returned. I know that I'm just there for support when questions come up. Laura does everything. And Laura, I would like to ask you to come up to congratulate you, but before you do, somebody has a little message for you.
Happy birthday, Laura.
It's not her birthday.
Happy anniversary.
Wrong again.
Congratulations.
You are so off track.
What?
Well, then why are we doing this video?
You tell her, Lily.
Because Laura's the best.
Oh, I don't need props for that. Laura, you are so amazing. We just want to thank you for all of your hard work. Continue to shine and do the amazing work that you do.
Thank you, Laura.
So we just wanted to say thank you so much to Laura for all of her help. It has been life-changing to our family. We met Laura almost 7 years ago. She moved Jake to the public school program that he needed to be in, and Zachary to a private school placement that has completely changed our lives. Jake, you want to say anything to Laura? Thank you. Zachy, can you say thank you, Laura?
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Laura.
Very briefly, thank you so much for this award. It means a lot. Thank you, Michelle, my mentor on all these cases. I never could have done any of it without her. She's there all the time to answer any and every question I have. And thank you to my firm, Morgan, Lewis & Bokius, who I couldn't do this work without. They support it and encourage pro bono work across the firm, and I really appreciate that a lot.
Congratulations, Laura. And how cute were those kids? That girl with a bow like this big, and those boys with those curly hair? Get out of here. Okay. Again, folks, this may be something that you already know, but your support of YAF has an incredible leverage effect. Your contributions fund the YAF attorneys, who in turn reach out and train about 1,000 attorneys throughout Massachusetts, who in turn represent the 20 to 25,000 kids who are involved with the juvenile courts each year. And speaking of YAF staff, it is my pleasure to introduce YAF's President and CEO and Director of Education Advocacy, Marlise Spaniard. Now Marlise she'll introduce her staff and also our next award recipient.
Thank you, Cheo. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here in person, and whether you're here actually or live stream, I'm so happy that we can all be together. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of working with a mother-daughter combo. So I just want to take a moment to recognize Michelle and Jackie. Michelle, I'm going to make you stand up. They are 100% behind the success of this evening. I cannot even tell you the amount of work that they have done, and yes, they've squabbled a little, but they just work so well together at the same time. They secured this hotel, this beautiful venue, with multiple reschedules due to COVID. They set up the silent auction, the sponsorships, the technology. They literally have been all things to this event, and I couldn't be more appreciative of their skill or grateful for their commitment. Thank you so much. I'd also like to ask the rest of the Ed Law staff to stand up. Not everybody is here tonight. A couple are live streamed, but just want to take a moment to recognize them. So I'm here tonight to, well, first of all, enjoy this evening with you all, but also I get the pleasure of awarding the Community Justice Award to Roxbury YouthWorks. Roxbury YouthWorks was YAP's first real partner. They taught the early YAD team about adolescent development, cultural humility, and trauma-informed representation. Roxbury YouthWorks also was a vocal leader in calling out the myth of the super predator for the racism that it was. Today, under the leadership of Mia Alvarado, Roxbury YouthWorks provides a variety of youth development resources, opportunities, and services for young people involved with DCF or DYS. They are especially well known for their work with young people who have been or at risk of for sexual exploitation. Mia, not surprisingly, has earned legend status in the youth and family serving community. Mia is one of those rare leaders who can have her feet in the trenches, and at the same time, she's influencing statewide policy. She has the ability to make anyone feel comfortable. She is warm and welcoming, and also a powerhouse. She is unrelenting in her advocacy for children. For example, Mia has been at the forefront in advocating for a shift away from an ineffective family regulation system that prioritizes removing children from their families to a comprehensive community-based effort to provide families and children with the resources and services that all family needs to thrive. To this day, As many of you know in this room, Mia serves on more boards and committees than one would have thought possible, while managing a staff of over 30 people who serve hundreds of children and families every year. Please join me in honoring Mia Alvarado and Roxbury Youth Works.
Okay, you said I had a minute or two. I'll cut really fast. That's RYI. This is absolutely RYI. I want to begin by thanking Marlise, Michelle, Jackie, Ducci, and the YAF board for selecting RYI for the Community Justice Award. And honored to be receiving this on a night where we are celebrating such amazing people. Josh was one of the first people I reached out to when offered the position at RYI. He knew the agency and he knew me, so I couldn't think of better counsel as I was making my decision. Josh then ensured that RYI was part of every committee, advisory board, task force, event that was important to the work we do on behalf of youth, young adults, and families. And I often joke that I'm gonna have a lot more free time now that Josh is retired. Peter called me during my first weeks at RYI and took me to breakfast. He shared with me how important RYI was to their network and made sure I knew he was there to support me. Peter then proceeded to promote the agency and its work, both locally and nationally. Laura, I want to thank you for stepping up to ensure our youth receive the education to which they are entitled and for fighting for their rights. It's not everyone who would do so. I tell everyone the intervention at RYI is a relationship that is formed between our staff and the youth and young adults we serve. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the staff at RYI that are always unconditionally there for our youth, young adults, and family. A few of them are here tonight, and I'd like to acknowledge Tina and Hetzron. Finally, I want to acknowledge my fellow CPCS committee members present tonight and all of the amazing CPCS staff and private attorneys. And I want to thank the youth, young adults, and caregivers with whom we work for trusting us to do right by them. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mia and Roxbury Youth Works on this well-deserved honor. And now for a little high culture, folks. Our next speaker was part of last year's virtual benefit and was so well received that we begged her to come back this year. Reading a poem that she wrote especially for YAF, it is my thrill to present the 2020 Boston Youth Poet Laureate, Alondra Bobadilla. Come on, Poet Laureate.
Hi. All right, I'm gonna just get straight into it. How do we move beyond predictably outdated methodology in a season full of dynamic research-backed possibilities to pave paths towards genuine restoration of the young people being cycled through this system? There's a reason we call it the school-to-prison pipeline. So let me capture the funneling from classroom to jail cell happening right under our glass ceiling. What we invest in is what we want to become. So I guess we are obsessed with locking people up because we spend more money on prisons than schools. And I wish I could say I'm astounded by that news, and I doubt you are either. But swallowing a rock isn't any easier when you're passive. So let me quote out a couple more statistics. Predominantly black schools are more likely to have police presence. Let that sink in. 85% of juveniles in the justice system are functionally illiterate. Let that plant a seed. 9% of Massachusetts students are Black, but 40% get restrained. Let that water the ground. Black students with special education needs are not given services on time, leaving them behind their peers in their trail of dust, spread out and disfigured like their dreams become when we fail them before the growth has ever become. Let that grow fruit. You can read 1,000 articles, hear 1,000 speakers, all shouting the same thing or denying its validity, making up reasons for its prevalence, and once again blaming children for their existence rather than the collective for our incessant ignorance. You can scream about how the problem begins at home, but the raising of a child takes a village. So when the home fails, and even when it doesn't, the community is equally influential and responsible for the upbringing of the generations. Nature versus nurture is beyond the four walls a child is raised within. You cannot revoke your God-given responsibility simply because you don't like it. Social services exist to serve society, so why does it feel sometimes like they exist to mock the oppressed and enlighten oppressors? I have always been a strong believer in interconnected institutional unity, different minds coming together for a common mission, different gifts, same grace abiding in each of us for the same vision. So when I think of guerreros like Josh Dohan, I think of the concept of parándose en la brecha, standing in the gap, between the teeth of a lion-like system, ferocious and unyielding to change. People like him give us a reason to believe there is possibility for dimensions beyond the broken stages we stand on now, giving us a hope to believe in the phasing out of these one-sided, blind-minded concepts of what rehabilitation of a lost younging looks like. Beyond cuffs and wrist ties and strip downs, but rather a focus on their person, their being. Beyond the case itself and focusing on the heart pumping blood in and out of their system just like your own. Beyond the numbers and into the minds, the souls of the young people we are supposed to be teaching, growing, and serving. How can they become what we ourselves are not? Only two things able to save us from monotonous failure of our children and our youth: truth and compassion in response to truth, mercy in response to misery. In a political climate that seems to seek, employ, and promote further divisive tactics of departments and resources, we need to raise our voices for the Josh Dohans of the systems, for the projects like EdLaw that put as priority the social aspect of social services, the humanity back into human resources, the justice back into justice system. People that work to weave the efforts to progress as intimately as the toxic patterns are already. Takes two to salsa. If we both fall together, we must rise together also. Does it make sense to say there shouldn't be a link between varying institutions that already hold hands together behind our backs anyways? Are we only meant to work together for mutual destruction? I pray that's not the case. And my prayer, day by day, is answered when I hear the silent whispers about the efforts, the blueprint for progress, being built by a collective community of transformative initiators, igniters of prospect, the gentle, persistent flame of prophetic promise, a fire set ablaze by the innovative and people-centered thinking that organizations like YAF represent. So who do we want to be? What do we want to invest in? And how are we going to do this? Inform, seek out, move, respond, promote, believe. The pipelines may have been created for destruction, but we will turn the burden into blessing, ashes into beautiful promise. By learning the game, breaking it, and remaking it, the words we speak activate, and the tomorrow we preach is realized. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, 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 Alondra. That was beautiful and very profound. We thank you for sharing your talent tonight. And folks, signed copies of her book, which is called With Clipped Wings, are available for sale tonight. So now I am very pleased to introduce our next student speaker, Dream Gillenwater, who is here tonight with attorney Elizabeth Levitan.
Hi, everyone. I have the honor tonight of introducing Dream Gillenwater. When I met Dream, she was in the custody of the Department of Youth Services, and like many young women who had been committed to DYS, her charges resulted primarily from moments of emotional dysregulation resulting from trauma. Many of those incidents occurred at school. She had an IEP, but rather than finding ways to support her, her schools had referred her to the Boston Police Department 22 times. After she had been placed at the McKinley, Boston's therapeutic special education school, theoretically intended to support young people just like her, staff from McKinley showed up at one of her court dates and provided a letter to the court stating that they could not support her and requesting that she be placed in DYS. This was a brazen attempt to circumvent their responsibility to provide her with a proper education and instead to further push Dream into the school-to-prison pipeline. But Dream is a fighter, and incredibly resilient, and an amazing self-advocate, and will one day be an incredible advocate for other young people. And we work closely together to get her the supports and services she was entitled to, find her an appropriate school, and despite many ups and downs over the course of her life, she has stayed steadfast and committed to her graduation, which will be happening this June. Please welcome Dream.
Guys, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Okay. Hi, my name's Dream. First, I just have to tell y'all, I never did this before, so I'm gonna be looking at my phone a lot. Okay? All right. First, I just want to start by saying I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for my education attorney. I'm going to waste you all's time to tell you all about how great Elizabeth is. Since day one, she made sure that I knew that my wishes were her command. Elizabeth is my #1 supporter. She goes above and beyond every single time. A few things that made this relationship so successful and great was our communication was and still is super effective. I felt understood and heard. Elizabeth never hesitated to tell me bad news, and when she did, she made sure I knew it wasn't the end of the world and that she'd do everything in her power to fight for what we believed was right. I struggle with trust issues, but I put my life in Elizabeth's hands numerous of times, and she never let me down. There were times when we had to take an L, but again, Elizabeth never gave up on me and kept trying. I have to give myself some credit too, because it takes two people to make things work. Some things I did to help make our relationship stronger was I always told the truth and was super open about everything, including the bad things. Elizabeth is, no wait, I messed up. Oh wait, I gotta find my spot. Hold on, guys. Okay, Elizabeth was not only my education attorney, she became my defense attorney, and if you all are familiar with DYS, she was my revocation attorney. Listen and ear in my voice for a long time. Elizabeth taught me that I'm my greatest advocate. She always encouraged me to advocate for myself outside of our one-to-one conversations while letting me know she was still gonna do amazing on my behalf if I wasn't ready yet. I was asked to tell you all about my school experience. When I was young, I loved school. My favorite part about school was always the social part and building relationships. I attended the McKinley, and it was probably one of the worst schools. I have one too. It was one of the worst. One of the worst schools I could have gone to. I got in the most trouble there, and I had nobody to turn to at school. Every day it was me versus the staff. For my last year at McKinley, I cannot pinpoint a time when I went to school and felt like I wasn't being targeted. I struggled a lot because my needs were not getting met, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't an easy kid. I struggled behaviorally, and I wasn't understood nor heard. Fast forward to now, my lawyer worked diligently to get me into a school that we felt I finally deserved. I'm now at Anchor, and honestly, I wish I found the school sooner. Now that I'm at Anchor, I feel heard, understood, loved, comfortable, and cared about for the most part. And to be completely honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. Where am I? Okay. I owe it all to Elizabeth because I wouldn't be here at this school and I wouldn't be as brave and confident if it wasn't for her. I've literally never been to a school like the one I'm at now. There's no restraints. Kids don't swear, we don't stick our middle fingers up, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it gets on my nerves because I feel like a middle finger, like I can't flip people off sometimes. But yeah, and it blows my mind that the kids actually follow the rules. Like I've never been to a school like that ever, like I've never. And they be so serious, y'all, like they really won't stick their middle finger up, like, or swear, like they won't say shit, damn, excuse my language. I'm hot. Wait, I'm not finished. I lost my spot. Oh. My main focus growing up and going to school was building strong relationships with the staff because I needed somebody to understand why I did things the way I did and just needed a person that I felt safe and comfortable with in the school setting. If it wasn't for those relationships I built, I would have quit school because they made it tolerable for me. I thank the Most High that those staff were able to block out everybody else's opinions about me and form their own. My wish for you all is that you guys are able to be like Elizabeth and those staff for young people like me. We truly need you all. Some of us won't say it and others won't show it, but I need you all to know that we need and benefit from strong relationships, from strong, reassuring relationships with adults outside of our family and what we're used to. Elizabeth has been the greatest thing I could ever ask for. Us youth need you all to be a part of our teams. I've come so far with the help of Elizabeth, and I want to keep going. So Elizabeth, you can't leave me anytime soon. You can't go nowhere. My aspiration is to be extremely successful and come back for her. I hope in my career that I am able to reach kids, be there for them, and make a difference in children's lives how those adults did for me. I'm done. Look what I got, y'all.
Wow, Dream, congratulations, congratulations. You're doing great work. You should be so very proud. Okay, folks, now we're heading into the home stretch. Remember that the auction's still going on, so if there's any items you are trying to win, keep bidding. The auction will close in 3 different waves tonight, so starting at 8:15. So if you wanted that, like the wine to gift to me, you still have time. And if you wanted the massage to give to me, you still have time. Did I mention I'm a new parent? Okay. So also live stream folks, you still have time as well to register for the auction, and you should do so now. The link is there at the bottom of your screen. So now it's time for us to talk about tonight's main honoree, Josh Stowen, the founder of YAF. I am delighted to turn this podium over to Chief Counsel of CPCS, Anthony Benedetti. Anthony?
Cheo, you got the script wrong. You're supposed to tell people they have to wait until I'm done with the auction because I want to. I'm going to try and keep this positive energy going. Dream, you are a tough act to follow. Thank you for sharing your story. Alondra, thank you so much for those powerful, powerful words. And thank you to tonight's awardees, Peter, Laura, and Mia. Thank you for everything that you do to make life better in the Commonwealth for children and families. I just want to echo, it is so good to be in this room, to be with people, to see people, to be seen. For the people watching at home, we know you are watching wearing shorts, pajamas, and sweatpants. We are all here looking pretty good. So I now have the privilege of introducing today's keynote speaker and honoree, Josh Stowen. You all know he recently retired as Deputy Chief of the Youth Advocacy Division, and the list of his accomplishments over his 33 years reads like a greatest hits list of juvenile justice. Josh has been engaged in the fight for justice for YAD and CPCS clients in so many ways. Please take the time to read the program, which just touches upon some of the things that he has done in his career. I don't have the time. We'd be here all night if I talked about all of the different things that he has done. Just last week, he was awarded the CPCS Clarence Earl Gideon Award for Outstanding Public Service. Josh is the finest example of a person in government that you point to when encountering someone cynical about public servants. An example of what positive change can happen when someone dedicates their career and their life to making the world a better place, in his case, for the youth and families in Massachusetts. Before I talk a little bit more about Josh, we have a very short video to show you. Much of the material from Jeremy Cohn, longtime YAF board member, and as you heard earlier, sort of the YAF unofficial historian. Thank you, Jeremy, for putting this together and for all that you do for YAF and YAD. And also Jackie Stimpson, YAF operations coordinator, film editor extraordinaire, who pulled together this video. Let's take a look.
When juvenile justice comes up in Massachusetts, you cannot help but think about Josh Doan.
In 1992, Josh joined Jay Blitzman to launch the Youth Advocacy Project. It was based on a new model of juvenile representation that promoted the client's healthy development and life success alongside zealous legal advocacy.
I had never met two people like Jay and Josh. Forget the fact that they're two white guys, right? But at the time, that was a significant issue for me. I had just never met two people that every pore of their body, every breath they took, everything they said was in support of these children.
In 2009, under Josh's leadership, the project expanded to become our first statewide juvenile defender agency with the same model, holistic representation based on the client's informed wishes.
I think this whole notion, which we really strive for, empowering and franchising and giving agency to our clients.
Josh has been instrumental in so many of the positive things that have happened in the juvenile justice arena since the 1990s.
People like myself, Josh, we felt a real passion and need to really give voice to our clients, and it works from a pragmatic perspective as well. Because unless you have a client who trusts you and believes in you, they're not going to buy into the recommendation that your social worker has, the recommendation that your educational advocate has. You're just another adult telling them what's in their best interest.
Using a positive youth development approach, an interdisciplinary team seeks to ensure the client equal access to resources and services.
Josh has a gift. He has the ability to see the larger ecosystem and the interplay of all of its pieces.
And here was an opportunity for me to kind of bridge the gap between community social work and being part of a defense team and being an education advocate, and I got to bring a lot of things together. I think they were definitely thinking outside of the box and never gave up their primary role as lawyers. They were always and always have been zealous advocates, but it was an opportunity to think broadly about the role and how we do criminal defense.
Education advocacy remains a centerpiece of the work.
Kids growing up in poverty are a more challenging population. That doesn't relieve you of the responsibility to provide them with an education. It means that you have to meet that challenge.
Education, employment, sport, art, health, relationships, home. These are what we want our own children to have, and these are what all children need and deserve. These are also what Josh and his stellar team fight for every day, not just in the courtrooms, but in the schools and communities across the Commonwealth.
The model for representing youth in our courts has in many ways improved juvenile defense practice.
Josh recognized early on the importance of school success for children caught in the system. His answer was the Ed Law Project. And through his ability to persuade and energize those around him, he has ensured that our clients get the advocacy they need to succeed in school.
We know he has brilliant thoughts at times. We know he can be a visionary at times.
He has built the best juvenile indigent defense department in the country, and he has transformed our youth justice system, supporting our most vulnerable youth now and for generations to come.
It isn't an exaggeration to say that Josh has had an immeasurable effect on the lives of so many children who have been caught up in the juvenile justice legal system in Massachusetts.
I'm excited about the future of YAD and building upon the strong foundation that Josh has established. We will continue to ensure our clients receive zealous representation in court and in schools to ensure that they have both positive legal outcomes and life outcomes.
Josh, a big thank you for your inspiring vision and your inspired leadership.
I have been so proud of how you have lived your life. Your compassion, your determination to help others achieve better life outcomes, your generosity, your creativity, your fabulous supporting network of family and friends, and your rock-solid values have never changed, and neither has my love for you.
Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for your many years of amazing service on behalf of so many people in the Commonwealth.
Many of you probably wonder what Josh spends his time thinking about. So one day Josh was sleeping and we did a quick brain scan and were able to see what the space in his brain is taken up with. 60% of his brain space seems to be taken up, by pizza and chocolate. 20% by YAD, 10% by national YAD, 5% by world domination, interesting, and then another 5% by the Yankees, but with words that we cannot repeat in public. That, folks, is Josh's brain.
World domination. So, what started in 1992 as a very small unit within CPCS has grown into a nationally respected division of over 60 juvenile defenders, social workers, and supporting staff. And if I may, I'd like to give a shout out to 3 of the 4 individuals, all in the video, Josh being the other, who helped get things off the ground with the pilot YAP office serving Dorchester and Roxbury, and asked them to stand. Jay Blitzman. Andrea James. And I haven't seen her, but hopefully she's here, Christine Feichter. Oh, okay. I've had the privilege of working closely with Josh because of my CPCS roles. And so I want to focus on 2 things in particular. Those who know Josh know that when you ask him for an opinion or input, he almost always says, I have 2 things to say. Usually 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, some subsections thrown in. So this is sort of an homage to Josh. But I'm not gonna do that. First, for being such a powerhouse in so many ways, Josh is equally understated, humble, and approachable. Maybe not until he opens his mouth and starts to talk does one necessarily see it. I have seen it, and I've seen it up close. All the traits that you have heard about Josh in the video and elsewhere come to bear in every interaction and every conversation. He talks, just as important, he listens. So that by the end of the conversation, people have heard him. Josh will take any opportunity to talk to everyone and anyone he can to spread the gospel of juvenile justice reform, but also to learn so he can strengthen his own ideas and come up with new ones. Legislators, judges, advocates, juvenile experts from across the country and abroad, community groups, college interns. I have experienced it myself, and I dare say I am a better manager, leader as a result of these conversations. Always client-centered, laser-focused on ending the school-to-prison pipeline, ending the racial and ethnic disparities that exist in the system. Josh pushing me, challenging me, ensuring I look at issues from multiple perspectives. I have enjoyed watching Josh. People make assumptions about Josh or underestimate him to then be completely mesmerized by his ability to articulate complex and nuanced options. As you know, New England Patriot coach Bill Belichick is often said to be playing chess while others play checkers, and so it is with Josh. Second, Josh values and nourishes personal relationships. He's a bridge builder. It doesn't matter who the person is or what their position may be, he values everyone. Anyone can contribute. In the early 2000s, YAD was chosen as one of the jurisdictions across the country to participate in the MacArthur Foundation Models for Change, a juvenile justice system reform initiative. Josh knew that for this program to really make a difference in Massachusetts, there needed to be participation and buy-in from a number of stakeholders in the system, including legislators. Massachusetts ended up being the only state that had diverse representation, and that was through the sheer tenacity and persistence and, of course, the vision of Josh. Fast forward, and one of the elected officials who participated way back then is current Senate President Karen Spilker, one of our biggest supporters who has been instrumental in ensuring that reform has been passed into law over the last few years. The second example is Josh's successor, Ducci, who you heard from earlier, who he met when she was a youth advocate at the Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative. He brought her on as an intern for YAP, and after law school hired her as a YAD attorney before she became the youngest attorney in charge in the state for the YAD Quincy office. Fast forward, and Ducci is now Josh's successor. A relationship nourished over a number of years, and one that will benefit YAD, CPCS, and most importantly, our clients for years to come, and continuing to build on the legacy that Josh has built. CPCS and YAD will miss Josh for all of these reasons, and I will miss him personally. His counsel, his passion, his commitment, and most of all, his friendship. Josh and I, over the years, have had many conversations about the work, current events, pop culture, travel, but most of all, food. Josh figured out pretty early on that I love food, and also that I am a slow eater. So he suggested that we have our meetings over lunch. So while everyone else on the team had a certain amount of scheduled time, Josh had my ear for the time it took me to down a sandwich or a plate of noodles. Always a means to an end, but for noble purposes. Some of the best ideas came out of those lunches. Rest assured, Josh and I will continue our meals, but now as good friends. Please join me in welcoming Josh to the stage and congratulating him.
Well, I don't know which is more embarrassing, the video or the fact that Anthony figured out why we had lunch meetings. So, first of all, I should just for the benefit of the young people in the room, being retired means never having to wear a suit again. And just to anticipate Ken Parsegian's question, I sold mine back to Goodwill and doubled my money. And then I blew the entire $150 on this haircut. So the bad news is this. The really bad news is that I'm going to go off the script before I read you the whole thing. Because if I was more humble, I wouldn't bother with it, because you've just seen every reason why this has been a wonderful 30 years for me. From the young people you just heard from, you know, the energy and the potential there, and you know, I loved their gratitude for the work of Elizabeth and their other advocates, but it's easy to see that they're far more energizing for us than anything that we could do for them. And all the other advocates that you got a chance to see, and being able to work with partners like Mia and Peter, you know, it's really been a fantastic time for me. But I'm still going to read you my speech. So, in 1985, I was enjoying the extended adolescence that is the birthright of wealthy white boys in America. But my parents were starting to hint that perhaps one could be a job-free rock and roller for only so long. And I had no idea how to do anything else. So a couple of my friends actually had no uncertainty about it. They told me to go to law school and become a public defender. So I did. And in 1992, I was approached by an acquaintance, Jay Blitzman, with a wacky idea. He said, CPCS needs to have a statewide juvenile defender department because children are at least as deserving of skilled advocacy as adults. He told me that he invited every lawyer he knew to join him and had been rejected by all of them. He said he didn't want me to feel any pressure, but if I also rejected him, he would die sad and alone. 30 years later, see, I had you worried there about the years, didn't I? 30 years later, CPCS has a statewide youth advocacy division. The Massachusetts juvenile incarceration rate has declined by 90%. And the Youth Advocacy Foundation is successfully engaged in a long-term strategic attack on the school-to-prison pipeline. My father often said that it was sometimes better to be lucky than good. And boy, have I been lucky. From my family to my friends to the opportunities I've had, including the opportunity to be a juvenile defender, and specifically to do it in this last 30 years, I really couldn't have got much luckier. You could write a book about juvenile justice and juvenile defense reforms of the last 30 years. In fact, Jeremy Cohn has written that book. So I won't take up your time with all the details tonight. I'd just like to reflect on some aspects of that time that were particularly meaningful to me. As I describe some of what happened, I want to be clear that I'm not claiming that CPCS, YAD, or I invented or had sole responsibility for anything. But a few things worked out well, and I confess to taking some satisfaction in that. I don't think any state rode the fourth wave of juvenile justice reform as well as Massachusetts. Using a youth development approach and spurred on by Lael Chester's persistent and supportive advocacy, our Department of Youth Services and the Mass Probation Service established themselves as the most effective and forward-thinking entities of their kind in the country. Young people aging out of DYS now request to be allowed to continue to work with their caseworkers. And Massachusetts probationers have the highest success rate in the country. Those things don't happen by accident. For me, it was such a stroke of good luck to be able to work with Lael, with Peter Forbes, and Ed Dolan. We were an unusual team. I doubt I could ever quantify how much I learned from each of them about juvenile justice, fairness, and leadership. I take nearly as much pride in their success as I take in the evolution of YAD and CPCS. YAP did not invent holistic community-oriented defense. The Bronx Defenders did that about 10 years after us. Seriously, no one invented this stuff. For as long as there have been advocates, people have recognized the intersectionality of the law, society, and our clients' lives. However, I do think we did it particularly well. When we combined Jay's vision with Christine's thoughtful social work, Andrea's gift for community organizing, and Ann Tobey's mastery of the science of adolescent development, an enhanced model for juvenile defense took shape. It remains the foundation for our approach today. Like DYS and probation, we adopted the youth development approach that we learned from Mo and LJ, Glenn Daly and John Zaff. I don't believe there's a juvenile defender organization in the country with our ability to provide consistently comprehensive, community-oriented, trauma-responsive, culturally humble, zealous advocacy with a highly skilled and motivated interdisciplinary team, including both staff and private assigned counsel. Now, to be clear, Priscilla, Afton, Claudia, Melanie, Marlise, Erica, and now Ducci haven't let me near that team in years. But I can still revel in their success. It's not just juvenile defense that changed. Other than the commitment to zealous advocacy for each and every client, we, CPCS, barely resemble the agency I joined in 1988. For one thing, we stopped letting the court and other elements of law enforcement set our agenda for us. Today, every indigent person entitled to counsel is as important as any other, regardless of their age, type of case, or whether they have a staff or private assigned counsel. Seems obvious, doesn't it? But it took us a long time to get there. Another change is that we are far less passive and reactive. Anthony Benedetti has inspired a culture in which we have embraced our responsibility, not just to our individual clients of today, but to the communities from which our future clients will be drawn. The courts, law enforcement, and corrections are dependent on harvesting black men to keep their employment and power. Today's public defender no longer tolerates that harvest as acceptable or inevitable, much less are we willing to be complicit. Anthony, the committee, and the senior management team have engaged in intensive strategic planning and the reorganization of resources in order to engage in strategic efforts to dismantle the structural racism that drives the court and prison systems and makes it impossible for communities of color to escape poverty and disenfranchisement. It was truly an honor to participate in some of that planning and to see the agency craft and implement a new and more dynamic vision for indigent representation. In that regard, I'm particularly proud of the initiative that brings us here tonight. Educational inequity is one of the most important building blocks of an inequitable society. If you want to doom a child, place her into the custody of the child welfare system, or send her to school in a community of color. Better yet, do both. It's not a mystery. Sadly, virtually every Massachusetts governor and US president in my lifetime has happily funded police and prisons by raiding the education budget. The Ed Law Project, a partnership between originally the Children's Law Center of Massachusetts and YAD and CAFL, is in the process of reversing that trend. Every child has a legal right to an appropriate education. Our advocates are gifted at enforcing legal rights. With the expert education advocates of the Ed Law Project providing leadership, training, and support, CPCS is flooding the underperforming school districts with advocates demanding the education to which our clients are entitled. Not only is this a powerful attack on structural racism, it is a far better public safety strategy than any employed by law enforcement. And in case this is not obvious, it does not happen without your support. I think our work has made a difference for a lot of kids and families. I think the ongoing work of Ducci, Marlise, Anthony, and others has the potential to make our society significantly more equitable. But selfishly, the best part for me has been the people. Many of my clients were truly remarkable people who I will never forget. We've had so many inspiring people work at YAD and the Foundation, and working with external partners like Lael, Ed, Peter, Robert Kinscherf, Tom Corey, Ken Smith, Mia Alvarado, Greg Croto, Molly Baldwin. I really could go on for a long time. Has been quite special for me. I've really enjoyed spending time with Anthony and watching him craft an inspiring vision for public defense in the 21st century. My partnership with Priscilla will always be a life highlight for me, and not just because she was happy to do all the work and let me have all the credit. And I know I will miss working on projects with Deborah Krupp, who was similarly willing to overlook my many shortcomings. Many people, virtually everyone under this tent tonight, played a role in the progress we experienced. In any endeavor of this magnitude, every form of participation is important. Whether you were a lawyer or a social worker in the trenches, a financial supporter, a writer of amicus briefs, an ear to bounce ideas off of, or an ally in another organization, your contribution made and continues to make a difference. And that difference isn't just material. It really is true that every extra set of hands makes the burden a little lighter. Every time one of you wrote a check, or took a case, or just called to say hello, it gave me a lift, and I saw the same thing happen with colleagues all around me. My friend Chris used to tell me that I was nowhere near as good at pickup basketball as I thought. He said that my only real talent was for stacking the teams. If that is so, then rest assured, CPCS, YAD, and YAF have never been led by a more passionate, skilled, and strategic group of advocates and managers than it is today. I am happy to step aside and watch and support what they do. I only wish that the other so-called leaders in my generation around the country and around the world would do the same. Thank you all for the support you've given to me personally, to YAF and CPCS, and especially to the most vulnerable children in the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. This organization is going to miss you, and it's also clear that you've left us in very good hands. So tonight has been very inspiring to me, and hopefully to you all as well. And if you'd like to show your appreciation for that inspiration, I'm going to tell you how. But first, it's time to find out who won that spectacular e-bike. So I get to say the line I've really wanted to say all night. Jackie, bowl, please. Cheo Bourne. Is Cheo Bourne here? Oh my, sorry, it's upside down. It's upside down. Okay. Susan Shore. Susan.
Is she here?
Susan. Cheo.
You don't have to be here to win.
It's me. No, it's Susan. Susan Shore won, and we'll make sure she gets her e-bike.
Perfect.
Amazing. All right, now in just a minute, I'm going to bring up my friend Deb Popple, and we're going to sing you a little ditty she wrote just for the occasion. What? Just kidding. But first you got to help us out. We're already immensely grateful that you gave up your evening to come celebrate with us and bought stuff from the auction, and we know most of you have already given us your financial support as well, but maybe something you heard tonight inspired you to dig a little deeper. Maybe you're here as someone's guest and you would like to contribute. So now's your chance. Go into your bidding app right now and hit the Donate Now button. You can take your phone out if you're at home or if you're in the room. And we are going to spend a little time working on filling up a thermometer that's going to pop up over here in just a minute. So now is the time to actually take out your phone physically. We're going to do this as a group. And go into your bidding app and get that Donate Now button ready. And we're going to raise tonight $15,000. Yes, $15,000 tonight. And if you don't know this, last year's MC, some of you probably saw, his name is DeLon Grant. He's a good friend of mine. And he did a great job, I'm told. But if we beat his goal of 10 grand, then I get to brag to him that I did better. So as a group, please support me. So let's get some serious bragging rights for me. Deb, please join me up here. And we are going to do our song now. You can sing along if you like. All right.
And I didn't think about the fact that I can't actually read in the dark.
Let's see, put your paper right here.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys, can you hear us?
Yeah? Great.
Yeah, so we wrote this little song. We're going to sing most of it. There's going to be a sing-along section. So when we say everybody, that would be you.
That would be you.
So, and it doesn't have to be good. It's actually better if it's not. Michelle knows that. Okay. It's my bitch pipe. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Bye-bye, Josh. So long, Mr. D. In YAF's long history, you've played a leading part. Bye-bye, Josh. And many thanks to you. Since 1992, you've been here since the start. We'll miss your great big heart. His suits are rumpled, his tie's askew. Got pigs in blankets, he'll have a few. His desk is messy, Pam can attest. When you need a friend, he is the best. Bye-bye, Josh. So long, Mr. D. Your humility inspires us every day. Bye-bye, Josh. And though this may be crass, we're gonna miss your ass. We wish that you could stay, but please go out and play.
He went to Harvard. He's wicked smart. He turned his caring into an art. He did the Peace Corps and was a PD and has a huge supportive family. Keep donating.
Bye-bye, Josh. So long, Mr. D. This 501c3 is thriving 'cause of you. Bye-bye, Josh. And we can hardly wait to hear of all the great new things you're gonna do. But first, knock back a few. He's a driving force in the juvie courts. He loves his Patty and Boston sports. He's earned our friendship, our love and our thanks. And have we mentioned he likes his Franks? Everybody, bye-bye, Josh. So long, Mr. D. In YAF's long history, you've played a leading part. Bye-bye, Josh. And many thanks to you. Since 1992, you've been here since the start. We'll miss your great big heart.
Let's do it again with clapping.
On the 2 and 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Bye-bye, Josh.
So long, Mr. D. In YAF's long history, you played a leading part. Bye-bye, Josh. And many thanks to you. Since 1992, you've been here since the start. We'll miss your great big heart.
Right. Now, how we do? Okay, we got work to do. Now listen, that's it, folks. We are so pleased to announce we just did accumulate almost $9,000, but we have more time, so please keep donating. Our auction tonight is going to remain open till 8:30, and at that time you won't be able to bid any more for wine and massages. So keep an eye on that auction while you join us for coffee and dessert. We're still moving up. We've almost got last year's. We can do it. I think we can do it. Should I sing the verse one more time? Because I will. Bye-bye, Josh. So long, Mr. D. This 501c3 is having cause of you. Bye-bye, Josh. Come on. And we can hardly wait to hear of all the great things we're gonna do. All right, we're moving. We're still moving. We're still moving. Oh my God, that is good looking. Come on, Teresa. Come on. We're almost at 11. Should we just stay till it gets done? This is wild. Maybe I should go into auctioneering. This is great. Let's go, Robin. Whoa, oh, hold on. Look at that. We're gonna get it. We're not going anywhere till we get it. We're gonna get it. Come on, for Josh Stone and all the hard work he's done. We've got so little to go. We can do it. Yeah, what's that? For Dream, for EJ, for all the people who have contributed so much to this wonderful, wonderful. Yes, come on. We're so close. This is beautiful. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right now, and we're gonna cheer so loud when we do. All right. Okay, 600. 600? Who's got 600, sir? Hey! We did it! Hey, Alondra! Oh, wow. We did it. That's really great. Wow, it has been such an honor to be here with you all tonight. Thank you for your support, which we see here and we see in the work that you all do. And we hope to see you all next year. Good night. Enjoy dessert.